Hey guys, and welcome to my Final Fantasy XIV guide on how to make gil. Gil is your money, you're going to need it. So, to preface this entire guide, I'm going to say that crafting, gardening, gathering, farming, and grinding are all great ways to make gil, but for me, they just take too much time, it's too much effort, and you have to level another class most of the time. So, for this guide, we are just going to be making gil from buying and reselling stuff. Our job is to be that middleman and extract value by preying on people's laziness and or stupidity, or both. We are going to make a profit. This is how I turned my first 10k gil into 100k gil, and how I turned my first 100k gil into 1,000,000 gil. So, let's get to it. So we're going to start off with the easiest way to make gil, in my opinion, which is vendor reselling. So you want to buy something from a vendor and resell it at a higher cost. This is pretty low risk and low cost, and as always, the more active the market that you're selling stuff in, the better. So just as an example, let's look at mineral water. So we can see that mineral water is selling from this guy for 4 gil. Okay, let's go to the market board and check what mineral water is going for. 90 gil. Someone is selling mineral water for 90 to 100 gil. We can look in the history and see that someone's bought it for 3,000. This isn't even high quality, they just bought it for 3,000 because. So this is a fairly active market. You can see that it's kind of cleared out in 2 to 3 to 4 days, really. So mineral water is a great example. So this vendor over here sells 2 other things that I like to resell quite a bit. It's XIV greens, which I have some on me right here. We can buy it for 36, and glamour dispellers. I also have some of that. We can sell it for 500. So we're gonna look up glamour dispellers. So glamour dispellers, right? We could buy them for 500. We can sell them for 900. This person, great idea. Split them up into stacks of 10 because people don't want to buy full stacks of 99. And we can see that this person is making quite a bit of money with the 900. Like, they're making quite a bit of gil off this. I'm sorry in advance for ruining your market, but still. The other one was XIV greens, right? You can buy them for 36. How much can we sell them for? Well, we can sell them for 50 to 60 to, I've seen it go all the way up to 120, so you're doubling your money right here. We can see that it's a pretty active market as well. People are buying full stacks of XIV greens, so you can make quite a bit of bank doing this as well. So here, guys, is where I have personally made a large chunk of my early gil, and it was this Silsec vendor. I think you have to do 1 or 2 quests to actually unlock it, but it's well worth it. So what I've been doing is I've been selling undyed velveteen, undyed linen, and linen yarn. So all of these sell or buy for quite a bit higher than like other things like mineral water, which buys for 4, but because of that, you're making not necessarily as much in terms of a percent profit, but you're making a lot more in terms of actual gil, because these stacks are a lot more expensive. 40k for a stack, 16k for a stack, and 18k for a stack respectively. So we're gonna take this information. So now, to show you guys that I'm actually selling this, we'll bring up one of my retainers. So, let's see. She is selling, right, as I said, undyed velveteen, undyed linen, and linen yarn. So look at these. I can buy... I'm selling this for... and people are buying it for $789. 500, $549 for an entire stack. That's profit, right? When we're looking at linen yarn, we can also see that people are buying it, and quite frequently, $999. People are buying a stack for $449. That was probably me. And going over here for undyed velveteen, $450. People are buying a full stack for $399. So you're making gil, just like that. So the other technique that I'm gonna show you guys is market flipping. So market flipping is basically we want to go onto the market, and this is a bit more risky, but you'll probably make a bit more profit from it as well, is you're going to buy something on the market, and then you're going to sell it back to the same market. Don't need to go anywhere or do anything. So what is really good is shards. So we can go and look in fire shards. So fire shards are going for about $250 right now. But if you buy them for $230 and you sell them for $250, that's a slight profit. Not the most profitable. Where's another good one that we can see? Okay, so here we see they're going for, this guy purchased them for sub 100 gil, and they're going for around 200 gil right now. That's all profit. So if you can buy it at a low price and sell it for much higher, you're making a good bank. And since we're buying and selling in such quantities, like 600, 1,000, you're making quite a bit of gil for each of these transactions. Let's look at lightning shards. So lightning shards, this person has kind of crashed the price a bit, which we'll get to later, but they're selling it for 180. So if someone that had quite a bit of gil like me was going to buy all these for 180, the next price is 240. So why would I not buy them at 180 and sell them for 240? That just doesn't make sense. And because of that, we're actually going to go buy them right now. I'm just going to quickly step out and go to Undyed and buy these. Okay. So shards are good. Crystals are also pretty good. You can pretty much do the same thing with crystals. You find something, lightning is usually the best bet. Yeah, if you can get it for cheap and sell it for higher, then that's kind of what you do. It's really good for this, like you have to kind of know your markets a bit, but like for this, we can see that it's selling for upwards of 300, so yeah, maybe buying it at 199 would be good, but we can easily turn that 199 to 229, and that's a decent profit. Crystals aren't quite as good as shards or clusters, so keep that in mind, because it's kind of like that weird intermediary. So with clusters, we can look at, like, let's say, lightning clusters. So currently going for about 640, but we can see that it's going for upwards of 999. Now, with these, one of the techniques that I use is I stack split. So, right, if you're a crafter and you want some clusters, you don't necessarily want 200 clusters, because that'll cost you like 150k gil. But what you would want is like a smaller amount, like let's say 45, but because you split the stack, you can charge a higher price. So what I've done, especially in this market, is I've chosen 999 and 50. So yeah, if you want to only buy 50, you have to pay at me 999, but people do that even though that there's much lower prices because of the stack size. The other thing that works pretty well for this is materia. Materia is a bit harder depending on what you go for, but like, right, if you can buy some Heaven's Eye for, I've previously bought it for around 40k and sell it for upwards of 75k, and this is a very active market, well then you've just made like 20k, 30k profit on just one transaction. Now with these, you can't really sell in like large stacks because people usually just buy one, or if they do, they'll just jack the price up. But yeah, if you can go in here and sell and buy for 30k, 35k, and sell it for 60k, well, you've doubled your money. 20k to 65. Okay, you've more than doubled your money. You've tripled it. And the final way to make money off the market board is investing. So investing, you really have to know what you're doing. It's high risk, it's high cost. So basically the premise of this is you want to buy something at a low-ish price that you think will go up once a patch or an expansion hits. So once a patch or expansion hits, it's usual for all prices to kind of fluctuate a bit as they're trying to find the equilibrium. But in general, most things go up. But one of the things that I'd expect to go up, especially with Stormblood just around the corner, is what are people going to need? Well, they're going to need dyes to dye their gear. So if we can get into some dye markets, especially a black dye or a white dye, which always goes for the most, like you can see here, like these are going for upwards of 1,000. Let's actually sort by demand. General purpose black dye. Yeah, look, that's crazy. But these dyes will probably go up. If we can buy them at 440 and sell it at over 500, well, that's profit just from flipping, but these will all probably go up, I'd expect, as people get new gear sets and they need to dye them to their favorite color. They'll also need glamour prisms. Because, right, you get new gear set, it doesn't look all that great, you want to glamour it to make it something sexy. So I'd also expect glamour prisms to go up. So if you wanted to buy a large chunk of glamour prisms ahead of the patch, and hopefully they go up, and then we sell it at that premium, that's another way to make some money. But really, your bread and butter will be vendor reselling for just like a standard, consistent stream of revenue coming in, stream of gil, making money there, and then once you're big enough and you kind of figure out certain markets, then you get into market flipping to really make the real money. Now that we've gone over the big three of how to really make your gil, I'm going to leave some basic rules here, which everyone should kind of keep in mind when they're using this advice. So first off, each server is different, so what works on some servers and the examples that I gave here might not work quite as well on other servers, but some may work better on other servers. It's all about up to your server. When selling anything, the market takes a 5 to 0% tax, so keep that in mind, especially as you're selling higher and higher priced items, as that 5% on $1 million transaction, or a million gil transaction, will eat up a substantial chunk of it. Never pay the retainer location fee unless it's under 500 gil. So if you're buying something in Limsa, go to Limsa usually to buy it so that you don't have to pay that extra fee. The higher you set the price for any item, the longer it'll usually take, and it'll take up a retainer slot, which also you should be using all of your retainer slots at all times. The more active the market, the better, as I said, as it should reduce our selling time and probably increase the price. The longer you are active in a market, or like keeping track of it, selling things in it, the better you get to know prices, activity, and variations in the market better. Now, these are probably the two most important tips that I can give, is don't leave gil on the table. Always set your gil at the same price as the person above you or 1 gil less. If you're setting for less than that, like if you're dropping the price by like 100 gil, there's no point. You're leaving gil on the table, and yeah, sure, it's 15 gil here, it's 1,000 gil there, but that adds up, especially when we're doing just bulk quantities. And the final tip, and most important tip, is don't accidentally crash markets by listing a ton of the same item at once, as that will drop the price. The basis of supply and demand. If the supply goes up because you're listing like thousands and thousands of lightning shards, well, the price is probably going to go down. So don't do that. Don't crash markets, guys. Just like sell a couple at a time, like maybe 1 or 2 stacks. If like that's what the market can support, you'll get to know it better as you do it. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this content, feel free to drop a like. If you found it helpful, feel free to subscribe. If you have any comments, suggestions, criticisms, feel free to leave it down in the comments down below. I will read and respond to them. Thanks, guys, and see you online.